likes to benefit from a tangible visibility of our works in practice. As the Apostle James pointed out when he wrote, faith without works is dead. If you can read in James chapter 2, verse 26. Just as he once fed, as Jesus once fed thousands of people with just 2 fish and 2 loaves of bread, the Lord can feed all of us, Revealed Word University and our partners, 100-fold from a partnership that would radically enhance African in everything. This is one of the reasons why I say that we have made the right decision to be gathered here today to celebrate the loving heart of God, who would walk with us and share with us, just as he did with the disciples on the road of Emmaus in Luke 24, verse 13 to 35. Even today with him, everything is for the benefit of our emerging African society through the signing of these partnerships with our different partners. Let me thank you, all of you, for paying attention to the short speech that I have given you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, our Vice Chancellor, for reminding us that when creation was done in the Garden of Eden, people were given to use everything in the garden. So as African people, let us use everything which Africa has, the mineral resources, the agricultural resources. And for us to achieve that, we need to join forces. We need to network. We need to come together as one African with one vision, one thinking tank, so that what is in should give us prosperity and be able to feed ourselves. Thank you very much, Prof, for the wonderful words. As for now, ladies and gentlemen, with special respect, once more, we are going to request according to the program, allow me to jump to item number 5, if our program look the same. CEO, you'll correct me. I'm going to request the CEO and the Executive Director of Polar Plus Limited UK, trading as Polar Project to and also African Tourism Showcase and Prison Health Focus. The Honorable Mr. Morris Kasutera to address us on the topic of for restoring health in Africa. Honorable Mr. Morris, our Executive Director, kindly allow me to hand over the mic to you, Honorable Morris.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Levi Motebejane. Thank you very much for handing over the mic to me. I hope you can all hear me wherever you are.
Yes, Executive
Thank
Director.
you very much. Thank you, CEO of Revealed Word University, Reverend Celestine Grabakunzi, the Chancellor of the Revealed Word University, the Vice Chancellor of the Revealed Word University, Professor Kayindo, honorable board members of the Revealed Word University, the Chairman of the African Tourism Board, Sir Cuthbert Nube, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, brothers and sisters. Let me also acknowledge the presence of our Polar Projects partners attending this event on our invitation. I would like to acknowledge the CEO of iHealth Africa, Ms. Primrose Magala, who is here with us today, the CEO of DIDA, Ms. Naki Kadu, who is doing great work in Uganda with our support. I also like to acknowledge Ms. Michaela Gabriel Sangwest of Globetrotters, who is doing a great work with us on the African Tourism Showcase. And also, of course, Sekat Betnube, I would like to acknowledge you, who is doing great work with us on the African Tourism Showcase. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I've been given 10 minutes on this platform, but I hope I won't use the 10 minutes. Thank you. But at many events, there are some speakers you will never forget. Today is one of those days. I'd like to express my gratitude and congratulations to the Revealed Word University, our host of this event. And I would like to thank them, especially for calling out the works being done by Polar Projects and inviting us to become a partner in the work at hand of supporting Africa and Africans in educating and empowering Africa. I have already been introduced. I'm the executive director of a company called Polar Plus that trades via 4 entities, namely Polar Plus, Polar Projects, African Tourism Showcase, and Prison Health Focus here in the United Kingdom, and we're taking some work as well in Africa. Let me talk about Polar Projects and what it is all about. I'm tasked with running the 4 entities, but Polar Projects is what we would like to describe as a thinking center of projects. We exercise our thinking on behalf of individuals, charities, and companies so that their dreams come true. We don't tell them of our thoughts, but we provoke a debate in their own minds, exploring their intended goals and guide them through to success. Polar Projects is a business project management consultancy service dedicated to individuals, companies, and charities. Imagine you want to start a successful ostrich farm, you approach us for advice. Imagine you want to export oranges to China, you approach us, etc., etc. Imagine if you want to have a very successful career, you approach us too. Our recent projects include iHealth Africa, which we created out of iHealth Uganda to cater for healthcare in the eye sector for the vulnerable people in Africa. We also created a dialogue platform, which we call the African Tourism Showcase, which has now completed series 4, discussing a popular theme of anti-poaching in Africa, in partnership with Italy, the African Tourism Board, under the leadership of Sekat Betnube, African tourism ministers, and others. That's what we do at Polar Projects. Will you find us big on the internet? No. Barely seen, barely visible on the internet. But our contacts reach very deep into the African governments and Europe, into the African diaspora and beyond. That's Polar Projects. I'm here to share with you about the opportunities for personal wealth and personal health for the African child. It's rather complex, but I will try. Conversely, what I should actually do is to show the African child the missed opportunities. My message is, can't you see you are walking on gold? Open your eyes and see. Wise teacher once says to me, you can send your children to the best school in the world, but if they are not ready to learn, all efforts come to zero, nothing. A fundamental proverb which says the teacher presents himself or herself when the student is ready. So today I will share with you lessons from wise teacher. Wise teacher to me is that man or woman who always presented himself or herself when I was ready to learn something. So if you were expecting a PowerPoint presentation, my apologies. Today I have a speech. My wise teacher always said, African child, nothing is impossible. You can achieve anything once you put your mind to it. My reply was, if only I could discover my talent. My wise teacher would then say, one doesn't discover a talent, one decides on it. Many Europeans travel to Africa and America in the controversy of so-called discovering lands. Columbus is controversially quoted to have discovered America. But no, wise teacher said, Columbus saw a continent and decided to name it America because it was there. David Livingstone saw the Mosia Tunya between Zimbabwe and Zambia and decided to call it Victoria Falls. Cecil John Rhodes followed the gold trail myth of the legendary King Solomon's mines and found it in present-day Zimbabwe and decided to call it under his own name, Rhodesia, because the so-called, it was there. And Cecil John Rhodes became rich in Zimbabwean gold, which he called Rhodesia, decided to be buried in Matopos Hills, overlooking the legendary King Solomon's mines. Even today, reminded of colonial conquests through the Rhodes Scholarship. Talent is not discovered. Talent is decided. African child, all you need to do is decide what you want to be. Young people always struggle to actually find their feet. They don't know how to achieve success, whether it be in school or after school, or even in life. Some just float along, some never make it, some stumble upon the so-called success by accident. Only a few really make it. Nobody ever sits down with them to tell them the secret. Schools give them some curriculums, diplomas, PhDs, and ushers them onto the streets to look for jobs. The African child goes through school and university and never hears how to be successful. Knowledge that should be learned in school from the curriculum, leaving the African child searching to discover his or her talent, frustrated, confused, and conflicted. The young African now measures success with likes on Instagram, on social media, but nobody is telling them exactly how to achieve success. At Polar Project, we believe in thoughts, in words, and in action, exactly in that order. It is a fundamental concept relevant to the African child, a methodology of thoughts, words, and action, a methodology of how to achieve success. Whether you are a young person in Johannesburg, South Africa, or you're in Nairobi, Kenya, or you're in Lagos, Nigeria, the formula is the same. You think it, you say it, and you act upon it. So today I'm here to share with you my thoughts and some very developed countries measured by the amount of resources spent in cushioning the sick. A developed countries measured by the amount of donations raised and given to the most vulnerable. It is not by receiving that more abundance is realized. It is through giving. So I asked wise teacher, how can one give when one is poor? Because in my mind, poverty denies love expression. A rich man showers his loved ones with benefits. Love alone is not enough. I've heard it from those on Instagram. Love is not enough. The Western countries tend to be the biggest donors to Africa. Yet despite receiving and receiving for decades, some African countries remain poor. Countries that received last year and even decades ago are still receiving today. So they still have nothing to show for it. Some countries' citizens are still waiting to discover their talents. And some of the leaders, despite overthrowing the so-called dictators, still go on the same, if not worse, egoistic personal priorities. So there surely must be another way. But there is a science of getting rich. This science is so accurate, and when followed, one gets rich with mathematical accuracy. But wise teacher, why does Africa remain poor, yet poor or full of resources? The rhetoric is, oh, the West comes and robs from us. The West robbed 500 years ago. The West robbed us 200 years ago. And again. But why do we have other African countries that are doing very well? Even after very serious civil wars or natural disasters, shall we continue to blame others? Is it an issue of our own leadership? Ladies and gentlemen, there is a science of getting rich. The ownership of money and property comes as a result of doing things in a certain way. And those that do certain things in a certain way, whether on purpose or accidentally, get rich. While those who do not do things in this certain way, no matter how hard they work or how able they are, they will remain poor. There are two things in life we have no control over. First, the start of our lives, or being born into families we don't choose. The second thing is the end of our lives or our death. But for everything else in between is in our control. So we are in control. Some people may agree, but the laws of the universe that will always be the same worldwide. So you need to discover, we need to discover the formula and follow it. But at one of my events, I spoke on how conflicts hinders progress. Conflict within the country, conflict within the family, but the worst of all is conflict within the self. How can we be conflicted within ourselves? Despite all the knowledge and education, the African child is still conflicted and continues to suffer and die from treatable disease. So wise teachers say to me, the answer lies in the leaders putting the priorities on other things. We at Polar Projects, we advocate for universal healthcare, funded centrally, given free at the point of need. That's the key. But the greatest illness affecting the African child is that of dis-ease. Not disease, but dis-ease, the opposite of being at ease. When all things are in equilibrium, balanced and flowing, the African child is at ease. But when the African child is conflicted, then the state of not being at ease occurs. So at Polar Projects, we are fascinated by the contrasting dichotomies, which we call the career me. Yes, the career me of your job, career. Influenced by the society, family, media, and all that create a CV to get you a job. The career me is so competitive that it looks at the world as a competition. The career me wants a top executive job, so goes to the big city to look for a job. The career me wants a big house, big mortgage, big car, pushed by family and friends, by the community and society to show what success is all about. In material terms, sometimes it achieves this. Sometimes we achieve it, reaches the pinnacle, but still feel empty. The career me has pushed so much that there is no room for anyone else. No time to meet anybody. To our brothers and sisters, no time to date anybody. Not even a boyfriend or girlfriend. Or the partner is to come within a certain price tag. Or the in-laws ask, who are you and where do you come from? How much money have you got? What's your annual salary? But the other fascinating dichotomy, which we are interested in for the African child, is the inner me. The inner me is that one feeling of the me that people say when I die. At funerals, people speak about the deceased respectfully, about the deeds of the common aspire to be. The inner me is what the Buddhists aspire to be. The Muslims aspire to be. The Hindu aspire to be. Any religion, they aspire to be the inner me. It's not dictated by how you look or what you own or how many certificates you got on the wall. But when death knocks on your door, it's the inner you that will remain and remembered as your legacy. So success should not be only about the inner me or the career me, but there is a balance. We talk about balance in Polar projects. We have to find the balance, the middle section that make the two contribute positively to each other. So African child, decide what you want to be. Decide, child, decide, and you will be what you want to be. There is a science of development. It is an exact science, like algebra and arithmetic. So I stopped wise teacher and said, why do some African governments fail the young people? We hear of the brain drain. Why? But he stopped and said, remember when Barack Obama became president of the USA, he was only 47 years old. And I said, really? 47 years. So we have a problem in Africa. We need to create dialogues within our African politics so that young people can be given opportunities to look at solutions. So solutions come from within, not from an external source. Solutions come from Europe or USA, no, they come from within. It is the inner me that builds our Africa. We need to start changing the narrative of African politics and society through emotions. When did discrimination ever build schools? When did hatred ever build hospitals? When did wars ever raise orphans? Yet our so-called leaders think that they are loved. We need more African heroes and heroines. We just have to decide. So there is a science of getting rich. The key is in the minds of our African child. The key is the imagination. You think yourself to success. You think yourself to the lovely job. You think yourself to that big bag of cash. You imagine of what you really want. What you desire is the clearest and finest detail. To the color, the texture.
Round of applause, Honorable Morris. Thank you very, very much. I so wish, ladies and gentlemen, that maybe 5 million youth of Africa will be joining and listen this wisdom which we have been given this evening. I so wish that some leaders in our continent should also listen and see how Africa is talented. With those words, ladies and gentlemen, we know that there is only one formula, and that formula is to put things in action. I so wish that African youth, African daughter and African sons will be aware that they're actually walking on the gold and they must just rise and shine. Really, today, ceremony in one another is beyond words can explain. With those words, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome those who have just joined us now. We had an opening prayer by Reverend Joseph and Professor Veronica, the Vice Chancellor of the university, gave us an opening remarks and also addressed us on the topic, the heart that God has for Africa. The Honorable Mr. Morris was our third speaker. He was addressing us on the topic, opportunities for restoring health in Africa. Mr. Morris is the Executive Director of Polar Plus Limited in UK, and also the Executive Director of African Tourism Showcase and Person Health Focus. As for now, allow me to introduce the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Revealed Word University, responsible for administration and strategic planning of the university. And also he's the professor at the Bumulambara University. He will be addressing us on African leadership awareness for fair trade and free trade area opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present Professor Dr. Jean-Baptiste Habinam Mana. Apology if I pronounce your surname wrongly, Prof. Professor Jean, I'm handing over the mic to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Levy, for giving me this opportunity to share Africa leadership awareness for fair trade and free trade area opportunities. I first of all greet you all in your respective protocol. I greet you in Jesus' name. As you have listened, my name is Professor John Baptiste Abonimana. I'm Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of administration and strategic planning through Revealed Word University. And I'm expert in leadership and organizational management with the background of economists from more than 25 years. So I'm professor by profession and intervening in enhancing capacities in English or in French because I'm bilingual. I'm originated from Burundi, Bujumbura, Burundi, East Africa country near Rwanda, DRC, yeah, and the other countries surrounding. So I'm bilingual. I'm going to share with you the topic of leadership awareness and the free and fair trade opportunities in Africa. Fair and the free trade is really key if we want to progress and achieve prosperity in Africa. Because Africa is a continent which is really very, very rich in terms of mineral resources, in terms of human resources, in terms of the know-how, the capacities. Yes, there are many, many opportunities. So if we want to develop and progress very well, we have to have a clear and fair and free trade. What can we understand by the free trade?